I believe we are live right now. And live video on YouTube is sometimes wonky when we get started. Welcome, everyone. If you're just joining us for the live stream, we just finished our YouTube premiere talking about the first part out of a two-part short series here at the Personality Hacker Podcast. By the way, my name is Joel Mark Witt, here with my partner in crime, Antonia Dodge. We are right now in the middle of our Quest program. It's a brand new program here at Personality Hacker. And what we do is we gather together in the mornings on a live stream here on YouTube. Then we watch the premiere of the Personality Hacker Podcast together as a collective, as a group. We make some comments and chats. And then we immediately go to a private membership group we call Quest, which is a live Zoom call to discuss the podcast and talk a little about some of the ahas and insights that you got from watching the podcast, going through the material of that week's topic. Right now, this is a live stream, so we haven't actually started that Quest call yet where we go into the Quest. The idea is that every week we'll come together as a community, just have a quick touch point here on the live stream with you, everyone. But if you're also wanting to go further and have a little bit deeper engagement with both what we talk about on the podcast, but also some of the ideas that Antonia and I have to challenge you this week in your life, we'd like to do this every single Sunday morning. And so we have basically a program you can join to be part of this on a monthly basis, where you can be part of every single week's what we are calling personality quests. We launch every Sunday morning, and we give you a challenge for that week, and we unpack some things. Today, we're going to be talking about being a player character in your own story, in your own life. On the podcast, we're talking about generational theory and a little bit of the different archetypes that the generations have. And we know that the millennial generation really identifies with this idea of being a hero. There's a hero archetype. Now, not all millennials identify with that. Each millennial is different, but there is this ethos in the millennial generation about being heroic. Our generation, which is Generation X, doesn't necessarily have that same message. So we were talking in the podcast today, if you're watching along on the premiere, a little bit about those distinctions, some of those ideas. And I think we talked about boomers and Gen X mostly, and we're going to be talking about Gen Z and millennials in the next episode a lot. So we're going to want to tune in next week for that as well. But welcome, and we're excited you're here. I should let Antonia do a little talking as well.
So what we'll be doing here is just sort of transitioning into a conversation that we'll have, but the entire conversation around generational theory is really fascinating to me because particularly as it pertains to type, one thing, and I don't know why it took me so long to figure this out or have an aha around it, but one thing that is really relevant to type and might be one of the most relevant things in personality types, like as far as being good at understanding how type works, being good at understanding how or identifying type in other people, is timeline. Meaning that like your age is a massive influence on your personality type.
Yeah.
And where you're at in your own growth and development, where you're at in your own maturity, what stage of life you're in radically alters or can radically alter how a type shows up. And so what's nice about generational theory, particularly as it pertains to people who are already type geeks, right? People who are like super into the subject, is that generational theory helps understand why like people of the same type, but born in different generations are going to have a different flavor to them.
Yeah.
And in a way where it might throw off understanding how a person's type works. Like as in, if you're born in a certain generation, the messaging you got might encourage certain kinds of, styles of thinking or certain styles of speaking that are usually associated with specific personality types. But just because you're born in, by merit of the fact that you're born in that generation, you might have those thought patterns. You might have that way of talking that sometimes throws people off because, well, it's unique to your generation, not to necessarily your type.
Yeah.
So I love the concept of generational theory as like yet another node in the system of how our personalities manifest.
Yeah. So if you're just joining us live, we are right now, everyone is preparing for what's called a Quest call this week. We're going to be doing a private conversation about today's podcast, along with giving some people some challenges for a quest of the week, something they're going to go on a quest personality-wise to understand how personality type or personal growth relates to their real world life. Like, how can we make this applicable, alive, visceral in our lives? We're just starting this up at Personality Hacker. We're really excited about this live dynamic format for you to come and join us on a weekly cadence and be part of that. So we've got people right now that have joined this program that are in the waiting room. They're on a Zoom call waiting for us to get that started. Right now, we're just broadcasting here on live on YouTube. We're going to be ending this feed shortly and getting started into that Zoom call very, very soon. We're coming up next. If you'd like to be part of that, by the way, you can join this program and be part of that Zoom call in just a moment here when we get started. head over to personalityhacker.com/quest, personalityhacker.com/quest. When you go there, you can register for the next 4 Zoom calls in the next 4 weeks. We're going to be doing this every week going forward. And if this works out well, which I'm pretty sure it will, we're going to continue this into the future. We'd love to have this be a part of our regular cadence here at Personality Hacker with you listening and to be part of that. Actually, I was going to ask Christian. So we have Christian Rivera, who's also on the YouTube premiere. He was on the show this week, part 1 of Generational Theory. You might have watched him do that. Karina, our producer, would you be willing to bring Christian into the spotlight here so he can also be part of this conversation? I just want to ask Christian a little bit about the episode, and then we're going to transition into the Quest call very, very soon. All right, so Christian's here with us. Hello, Christian Rivera. Dr. Rivera, where are you coming from right now? You're broadcasting from?
I'm from Rochester, New York right now in my studio.
Rochester, New York in your studio. So you might have seen Christian around. He works with us. He's our art director, video media producer. He comes to our live events, helps us film things. He's also helps with the behind the scenes stuff. And then we have you on the show, INTP preferences. We had you come on and talk a little about generational stuff. Why is generation for you, Christian, as an INTP? Why is it a fascinating subject? I know you're super into this. You were on last year talking about shadow stuff. Talk a little about what it means to you and maybe even talk about your generation.
Yeah. It was one of those first of all, one of those introverted thinking things that my brain just latched onto, and it was just a rabbit hole that I could go down, and I got stuck. It was it's like Chutes and Ladders, right? You just get sucked down the slide, and there's all sorts of stuff in there. But I mean, it's so relevant to everything we are and everything we experience. We talk about generations kind of loosely in terms of marketing terms. I mean, I've been a media and marketing for a long time. We always talk about generations. We're always trying to figure out what each generation is caring about and looking for and all of that stuff. So there's a degree of caring about that for myself personally in terms of what I do. But then also on a personal level, I've been doing a lot of deeper personal inner work and I was trying to go down this path of trying to forgive my parents. I put a lot of blame on my parents for my problems. And I kind of got tired of myself for doing that. So I really, generational theory, because of all the detail that Neil Howe goes into, really gave me the opportunity to truly understand the events that led up to my existence. And even to understand why my parents named me. My name is Christian Adam Rivera, right? And they were going through a bit of a religious change. And apparently there was a lot of boomers going through religious stuff in the 70s and 80s. And there's just patterns that I was a part of a wave of a pattern, and they are also a part of a wave of a pattern. And then their parents were also part of a wave of a pattern. And so there's it started to do the introverted sensing work for me of taking the emotional charge out of all of these sort of vague blames that I was doing to my parents and starting to look at the events as they were. This is just what happened. This is what they're reacting to. This is what I'm reacting to. This is what Gen Xers are reacting to. And now my kids, it's also relevant because I'm trying to be the best parent that I can, or at least have the best time being a parent as I can and not just going crazy, right? So being able to understand their experience is also giving me a lot of room to truly explore what at least I see and what I pattern as happening versus what I could just make assumptions about. You read this book and it's just oh, there's these patterns that I think I'm seeing are kind of validated and invalidated with all of this amazing historical detail. And so that to me is I think what led me into it, and what is propelling me forward in a growth way. And that's why I wanted to talk about it with you guys with shadows and talk about it this week and next week on the podcast, because we've been doing a lot of work with PLP and personality life path and inner work, and I've done it too. And it's just there's a lot that comes from it, and there's so much to continue to extract out of it, and it's a beautiful thing.
Thank you for sharing all that. So we're going to get, by the way, just a couple housekeeping notes, because a couple people are asking if you are watching on the live stream and you're part of the Quest program and you're like, where do I go to join the Zoom call? Because actually Christian, myself, and Antonia are already in the Zoom right now. In fact, we got people in the waiting room. They've been joining the Zoom. They're waiting for this call to get started for us to continue discussing the podcast today and then go into our quest for the week. So as people are kind of gathering, so we were looking for the links, you should check your email, your inbox. If you're part of the quest program, it would have been emailed to you. That's where your link will be. If you don't find that in your inbox, maybe it got to spam, maybe you lost it, maybe it didn't get out to you, just send us an email to info@personalityhacker.com. And as soon as this gets into the quest call, I'll jump over there. I'll check the customer service and we'll make sure we get you the link that you need. Either myself or our team will be doing that. I just want to make those housekeeping notes because we do need to get into the actual quest. So this live stream will be ending soon as we jump over into the private call to be discussing today's topic. So Christian, thank you, by the way, for sharing that. It didn't come up for you as Christian was talking.
Well, when we talk about the podcast and the Quest call, we can flay it out a little bit more. If you are a person who's part of Quest, then these are recorded. The calls will be recorded and made available in the membership area.
Yeah. And so what we're going to, as we pivot over into the private, the private Quest call, I think Christian, Antonia, and also Jonathan's on here too, as one of our co-hosts. We're going to be curating this experience every week. I want to start the discussion talking a little bit about the insights and maybe the questions that came up about generational theory. So I think as people are watching along, they're going, oh my gosh, kind of like what you just shared, Christian, insights about what happened. But also there's a bunch of questions that surface. Like I got a ton of questions for you. I'm not going to do here on the live stream. We'll do that in the call. But I got a bunch of questions for you around like, okay, wait, you said it was stuff about the millennial thing. I'm very curious about.
Blaming parents.
If you want to be, by the way, if you're watching the live stream, you want to be part of this, personalityhacker.com/quest. You can join the program. And really, when you join it, you can come for the next 4 weeks to be part of these live dynamic calls. I am loving this experience. I'm loving the energy and the hum. I feel like this is going to be something very, very special for all of us to come together on a regular cadence, to be part of this community, part of a group of people that are like-minded, that want to come and talk about things you're interested in, like personality types, whether it's Enneagram or Myers-Briggs or generational theory. Some of the ideas, more of these abstract ideas about who we are, how we show up as people. And what I love about it is we can come together as a community, talk about that each week and have a touch point with like minds. It's so hard. I'm sure you've experienced this, Christian, in your life, finding people that want to geek out with you around like this stuff. Like you try to talk to family and friends are like, oh God, please stop talking about personality types or personal growth or whatever. I don't know that. Of course, you're married to an ENFP, so maybe you don't have that.
Yeah, we do get to talk about it, but like, even she goes down different rabbit holes, so it's having this experience of being able to geek out with people who are in this one. It's really nice. It's so much fun and I'm excited. I'm feeling the same way with the energy. It's like this live, like, okay, cameras are on. Let's go.
Let's go.
See what happens.
It's like a live event almost.
We have about a dozen people in the calls now.
Okay. So we're gathering people up, coming into the area. And Tony is eager to end the live stream so we can get to the quest call. I'm just kind of staying on here to make sure that you're aware. We're going to go have a discussion. If you're watching us live on YouTube, we're going to go have a discussion in a private call. You can still be part of it. We'll be starting this program up. So if you can't make it this week, you can also make it next week, but we'd love to have you right now. Head over to personalityhacker.com/quest. Come be a part of this live dynamic growing community. This is our first one we're launching today. The first quest ever. It's a very special one. I'm going to look back at this. My little baby ENFP preferences, little baby introverted sensing, 3-year-old or inferior process to go. I remember way back when we started that very, very first quest. I'm kind of giving a gift to my future self by anchoring onto the recording by saying it because I'm excited.
The chat in the Zoom room is saying that there's a 6-year-old that said that you look like Jesus.
Oh, yes. Yes, I can appreciate that. You something, I think you ordered this like last Christmas from Amazon. This thing showed up in the mail and I'm like, where did this come from?
Yeah, it's a men's white linen shirt.
With a V-neck.
A V-neck. And when Joel put it on,
I'm like, I can't wear this.
No, my God.
Look like a cult leader or something.
Yeah.
It looks terrible. Like,
I think
it looks
that's why I bought it for you.
But it looks a little too like this guy's going to start
a little too on the nose.
You
try
need
to
some
heal
beads.
you.
You need some wooden beads
or something
to complete the ensemble.
And the other thing is I was wearing with jeans. So it was like this weird juxtaposition. I needed like more flowy pants, I think. Those flowy ones. All right. So again, if you're watching us on YouTube, we'd love to have you come over and be part of this new quest call. We're going to go over into that discussion, which is a little bit more intimate, curated discussion here on Zoom. But I really appreciate you watching the premiere with us. If you're not going to be joining that Zoom call, thanks for being here with us this week, watching the premiere, being here on the live stream. And next week at 9:45, we're going to start up another live stream, 9:45 Eastern time here in the United States. We'll start up a live stream. We'll have like a pregame experience. We'll get all warmed up. And then the premiere for the week's podcast, which will be part 2 of Christian Rivera, myself, and Antonia talking about generational theory. landing the plane on that part 2. It starts up at 10 o'clock Eastern time. And then immediately after that, we go to live stream and our quest call for the week, which we're part of right now. So everybody that's not part of the quest call, peace out. We'll see you later. And we're going to end the live stream now and go into that call to be able to discuss this week's topics and unpack the quest that we're going to be launching on for the week of September 17th. Talk soon, everyone.